Hey movie buffs, I hope you're having a good day. It's showtime, again. Michael Keaton is donning that black and white striped suit for the second time as the ghost with the most, Beetlejuice. This is a legacy sequel I am very nervous about, but this video is going to be all about taking a fair, unbiased look at the pros and cons of this upcoming sequel. Before we get into it, be sure to click subscribe if you're a passionate movie buff. On this channel we do in-depth retrospectives on classic films, and also videos like this where we discuss something more current but very relevant to us film obsessives. Back in 1988, an awkward misfit director named Tim Burton kicked down the door of the mainstream and made quirkiness and being an outcast suddenly cool. It's been over 30 years since it was released, but Beetlejuice has firmly entered the pop culture landscape. The effects, creativity and the wild and crazy energy is unmatched even to this day. And you know what? It even has heart. This is a movie that celebrates the weird and the wonderful and reassured a generation of young people that it's okay to be different. So why would you need a sequel? Well, the answer is, in this day and age, apparently everything ever made ever needs a sequel.
That makes my life a hell, okay? A living hell.
Let's start off with the pros of this upcoming sequel, because, you know, it's nice to be nice. It's of course a positive that Tim Burton is back in the directing chair. If you're going to do Beetlejuice 2, you honestly could not do it without him. Despite some misfires in recent years, Tim Burton nevertheless is responsible for some incredibly iconic and creative films. Admittedly, many of them a long time ago, but for him to return to a project so personal, one of his first and one of his most well regarded, the man must have something up his sleeve and a sense of passion and love for the material that should at least spur some of the old Burton to come through. Honestly, even with his recent duds, I cannot see someone like Burton returning to something iconic unless he thought he could do something with it.
You're working with a professional here!
Of course, we are still riding the Michael Keaton appreciation wave right now, with the actor back as one of his other biggest roles, Batman in the upcoming Flash movie.
You are?
Yeah. I'm Batman.
We're not worthy! We're not worthy!
Let's be honest, we know the man's going to deliver as Beetlejuice. Even at a slightly older age, it doesn't really matter, since when reprising Beetlejuice, he will be under lots of makeup, so it'll probably be very easy to end up with Keaton looking exactly the same as he did. Beetlejuice 2 could very easily serve as a time capsule, right back to how you felt watching Keaton in this role the first time.
Now what do you think? You think I'm qualified?
Winona Ryder has been snapped on set back in her career-making role of Lydia Deetz. She was a key part of the original Beetlejuice and one of the most convincing misfit teenagers in movies of the time. There was just something so earnestly weird but at the same time self-aware about Lydia Deetz. It's almost like this teen knew she was weird, revelled in it and used it to intimidate the people around her for her own amusement. It will be interesting to see who this girl grew up to be, and Winona Ryder is kept busy, specifically in Stranger Things, with a very popular character under her belt. Seeing her back will be another pleasant dose of nostalgia. It won't be enough just to have her back, we need it to feel natural and interesting, but if any actress can do it, Winona Ryder is very capable of reintroducing Lydia Deetz back into our lives, so fingers crossed. Also joining the cast is Jenna Ortega, an overnight sensation who has wowed audiences as Tara Carpenter in Scream 6, and of course worked with Burton himself in the Netflix series Wednesday. For me, this is a great decision as this charismatic young actress has been killing it. She has some real charisma and star power, and she will no doubt add a lot to Beetlejuice 2. I think based on her performance in Wednesday especially, she understands quirky and weird humour. Out of all the young actresses out there, she's probably one of the best choices in this modern era to actually fit in this nostalgic, spooky and strange legacy sequel. William Dafoe has also been cast in the sequel as some insane nutcase from the afterlife. Perfect casting by the way, so can't wait for that too. Oh, and Catherine O'Hara is back, and she was a riot in the first film. So all the ingredients are there if they can pull it off. Hopefully we can all be happy and we can all like it.
He likes it.
And the technology is there to make Beetlejuice 2 a real visual treat. I know they're going to focus on CGI, it's just bound to happen, and I have to learn to hold my nose a bit and accept that CGI is the way of the movie world now, whether I like it or not. It's possible for it to look good, so I need to be open-minded, and just hold out a little bit of quiet hope that they will at least try to mix in 1 or 2 practical effects, since the original Beetlejuice was of course known for that.
Nice fucking model!
There are of course some cons and some real concerns heading into Beetlejuice 2. Look, let's be honest, the track record of legacy sequels is pretty abysmal. There are a few that have nailed it, Top Gun Maverick, Blade Runner 2049 for example, but 90% have been a load of old arse. Hocus Pocus 2, the Halloween sequels, the new Terminator movies, the new Ghostbusters movies, the Matrix Resurrections. I mean, the list just goes on and on. And what are the genuine odds of Beetlejuice 2 casually succeeding where all these movies have failed to catch the lightning in a bottle? Beetlejuice was a real moment in time. It was synonymous with the 80s and had so much in it, whether it's the visuals or the humour or the characters, that just feels like it belongs there. It doesn't ever feel like Beetlejuice has any life outside of that first movie whenever you watch it. I feel like we're living in a trend of a bunch of dicks in suits sitting around a table and saying to each other, wouldn't it be cool to see Beetlejuice again? Just to see it. Does it matter what happens? Nah, just seeing it again. That's the approach to legacy sequels. There's no plan. No thinking it through, it's just, hey, I think it would be cool to see these characters on screen again. But what about the plot? Do you guys have any plot ideas, any plans, any focus?
You bunch of losers!
And while I was fair on the guy earlier, there's no getting away from the fact that Tim Burton's track record has not been great recently. This is not the man that made Beetlejuice, and Batman, and Sleepy Hollow. And even though I don't like the direction he's taken, he's entitled to do the projects he has. I'm just not sure he can so easily then come back to his older work and produce something like that again. Burton is no longer the outcast. He's no longer the struggling misfit director, slowly making his way up the ranks. He is no longer the same person anymore. So whether he can actually tap into what he used for Beetlejuice is a question that's up in the air, because Beetlejuice is more than just a movie. It came from a mindset, a place he was at that specific time, and he identified personally with the project. Now, he's so far removed from that, trying to crowbar himself back into that person he used to be could go terribly wrong. The mood and style was unlike anything ever seen before, and was a case of a shy kid kicking down the door of the industry and doing it his way, making the gothic and the weird now the mainstream. It was an achievement. And if we zoom all the way to 2023, what is really left to tap into? It already achieved everything it needed to. Having said all that, to be fair, Burton has made a project that at least leans back to that era in Wednesday, but a series is a lot different to a long-awaited sequel. Just because he managed to make Wednesday a bit like his old stuff, doesn't mean he can then deliver with doing a sequel to one of his very first films. And let's be honest, Beetlejuice contains some pretty dark and fairly sleazy humour that would not be welcomed by today's audiences. If you omit the uncompromising dark humour, are you even making Beetlejuice anymore? These are the questions I really hope Burton and co have asked themselves, and they're not just going to get there and realise, oh yeah, you can't really have Beetlejuice swearing and leering over women in 2023. So what are they going to do? Worryingly, I am nervous this will go the way of fellow spooky legacy sequel, Hocus Pocus 2. When they came to making the film, Disney looked at the humour of the first film and went, oh dear, yeah, we can't do that. And in doing that, they eliminated the very thing that made the first Hocus Pocus great, the evil of the three witches. One of the appeals of Keaton's Beetlejuice is how far he would go, how crazy and vulgar he could get. That's just the way it was. For a brand new movie in 2023, would the studio really allow, and more to the point, should they? To be fair, should they? Beetlejuice being such a pervert on screen? And if you understandably want to change that, then boom, you just changed the character, you watered things down, and it suddenly doesn't feel like the same universe anymore. Studios want to have their cake and eat it too, and I am dead against that. The humour, for better or for worse, was pretty out there in Beetlejuice, and it was one of the main things that made the film so memorable. We're in a different place these days. There's no way a studio is letting that through. I don't know, maybe the only option is to lean into the macabre and slapstick humour, and just step away from the disgusting, which could work. I'm not sitting here wanting Michael Keaton in 2023 to be looming over women, but you can't deny that was a key characteristic in that film. They're going to have to decide if they want to lean in on nostalgia or go for something new. This is the issue of legacy sequels, they're kind of doomed from the start, especially when they come out years after the original. They either bring nothing to the table or they lean too heavily on the first movie, and either way people aren't happy. Here's a personal story. I'm a huge fan of the Bill and Ted movies. I spent years anticipating Bill and Ted 3. I was so behind this sequel and I followed its production all the way. And although when Bill and Ted 3 eventually came out I had an okay time with the film, I probably enjoyed the journey to Bill and Ted 3 thinking about it for years more than the actual film.
No way! Yes way, Ted!
The problem with legacy sequels is they're usually a huge letdown from the build-up. Even if they're not bad, which they very often are, the task of living up to the legacy of the first film and the build-up in your head is just too great. Nowadays, could I have done without Bill and Ted 3? Probably. And this is what I urge fans who are anticipating Beetlejuice 2 to consider. Do you really want to see this? If you just really like the idea of Beetlejuice 2, ask yourself, is it better off as a what if? Perhaps the movie you were making in your mind might be much better than what we actually get in 2024. All in all, I may sound negative, but I honestly hope this movie is good. Let's cross our fingers that this is one of those legacy sequels that actually delivers. Tim Burton, please swear to me on the handbook of the recently deceased that you won't mess this up. Well, movie buffs, it's over to you. What are your thoughts? Is Beetlejuice 2 going to be the latest failure of legacy sequels? Or is there a chance this one could rise from the grave and actually deliver? Thanks for watching everyone, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the comments.